Some people rock and some people roll. Some will make you giggle right down to your soul. She'll talk to the world and introduce them to you. And look at me now, I'm on Barbara and you. You gotta take a step inside the shoes of another. Get to know your neighbor, get to know one another. She'll talk to the world and introduce them to you. And look at me now, I'm on Barbara and you.
Good evening and welcome to the program. So glad you could join us tonight. We are going to talk with two representatives from the Stratton Players, and I always enjoy seeing the Stratton Players. And left to right, we have Nancy Lamont and we have Josh Weidenhammer. I got it right. And Nancy is the only person who ever got me on the stage in a play. You sneaky little devil, you. And Nancy, you've been part of the Stratton Players for how long now?
It was 2012.
Oh,
So it hasn't been that long.
No, I was thinking it was a little longer while than that. But I also appreciate the fact that you're kind of the PR person and you always provide me with wonderful guests.
I try.
I appreciate that. And Josh, this is at least your second appearance on my show.
I've been with you before,
Yeah, and it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
And tell us about the upcoming play.
Well, we are doing the best Christmas pageant ever. It opens this Friday. The cast is in the middle of their tech week. Nancy is the producer for that show, and John Williams is the director. Seems to be going really well so far, and I'm looking forward to it. It runs for 2 weekends. You can get your tickets at strattonplayers.com. I believe they're $15 and $7.50 for children under 12. The shows are at 8 p.m. on Saturday, 8 p.m. on Friday, and at 2 p.m. on Sunday.
And are they at Applewild School?
They're at the Alumni Center at the Applewild School.
Right. It's a wonderful venue.
It is.
And yet we're looking forward to the day when Stratton has their own playhouse again. How's that coming along, Nancy?
Well, as you know, we had the $200,000 grant from the state, which we matched. Yay. But there's still a long way to go. So, but I believe, and I'm not on the board anymore, so bear with me, but I believe we have a contractor now and we're starting to move forward.
We do. When we got our bids about 4 years ago, when this process started, 4 or 5 years ago, the market was a lot different. Mm-hmm. So the money we've raised has unfortunately only got us halfway to where we actually need to be in today's market. We did receive bids for the first phase, and the contracting is set to begin in the next couple weeks or a month or so.
It will happen. We all know. We have confidence. It will happen. And I'll tell people, Josh, give a little commercial why people should come see the best Christmas pageant ever.
Well, it's filled with beautiful children. From 4 years old to 16, 17 years old. There's a lot of kids from Applewild School that are going to be there. There's a lot of kids from the Leominster and Fitchburg public schools. If you just want to see a heartwarming family production gone awry that comes together in a beautiful, dramatic way, come check us out at Stratton. I'm really excited to see it open up on Friday night.
Now tell me a little bit about yourself, because you're relatively new to Stratton.
I am. I joined looking for an acting gig in April of last year. Then I directed a show over Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life, of last year's Christmas show, and now I'm the chairman of the board of directors. So
little did you know what you were getting in for.
It's been an interesting 18 months or so.
That's how things work. That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's an important thing to mention. You have a lot of dedicated members of the group, and everybody has to pitch in and do a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And have I seen you on stage? I think I have. Did you act in it?
You probably saw me in It's a Wonderful Life, and you probably saw me as the bug-eating lunatic in Dracula.
Oh, that was you. I do remember you from It's a Wonderful Life. And the Stratton Players get involved in other community things, and you have a couple of things coming up. There's the event on Main Street.
Yeah, I regret to say I forget what it's called, but it's on December 9th. It starts around 1 o'clock. It sounds like a really beautiful thing for the city. There'll be hot chocolate, warm cookies, Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, a variety of carolers and other vendors that's going on. I believe there's 2 hay rides, one that's horse-drawn and one that maybe has a tractor. And they go both up and down Main Street and Boulder Drive. Stratton is going to put up a little station with some Victorian era actors, kind of like you would see at Disney World when you do a parade and you see a similar scene going on. And we're going to do like the redemption scene of Scrooge, Ebenezer, when he finally realizes all the mistakes he's made, and the God blesses everyone with Tiny Tim, and we'll kind of improvise that and then have some information about Stratton too with some singing.
And that's December 9th.
December 9th, Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Right, and downtown Main Street will be aglow with wonders.
Yes, that's right.
You've mentioned you've gotten kind of evolved at Stratton Players to being chairman of the board. Have you gotten what you expected or were looking for?
It's been my 90-day probation is almost over. So we'll see.
We're gonna let him stay.
We'll see how that goes. It's been interesting. It's been a challenge to, come into a tradition, really, a theater that's had a long tradition, long-standing members of the community. Not a lot of written down tradition, so I've had to kind of navigate the different aspects of the theater, but I think we're in really good shape. I'm really proud of the team doing the show for the Christmas pageant. I've had little to do with it. I've had little, there's not been a lot of emergency calls made in the middle of the night, so it sounds like the team is really doing a great job.
Well, I always am impressed with the amount of dedication that all of you people in local theater give, the time that you put into it, the dedication. It's sort of like a hobby to you because you don't get paid for one thing.
Right.
But it takes up a lot of time, and there's a lot. Nancy,
It's a hobby, but it's family too. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
something that you get involved with, and you can't let anybody down. You can't not help. You can't not be a part of things. It's Stratton. It's been going on forever, and we certainly don't want to see anything happen to it.
well, it's good. It's how many? It's over 75 years, isn't it?
90.
This will be our 93rd year.
Yeah.
Wow, I lost track of time there.
So even with the theater burning
That's-
down and all that, we've managed to keep the tradition alive, and that's what I'm hoping to do with the new board. And
Now, tell me a little bit about your background, because you've.
I'm originally from Orlando, Florida. I moved here about 4 years ago
Why?
to take a job in Concord. I'm an administrator for Minuteman ARC, which is a human service agency there. I've always been an actor and a musician, and now that I have a family and a couple children, I just kind of have to lay low on the clubs until 4 a.m. So your next guests maybe need to remember that before they just start making money. And I just, now that I'm working, I'm looking for something to volunteer in and get involved in. And there's just a lot of opportunity here in Fitchburg. I'm really excited to see the city is, I think, going to change for in a good direction and bring a lot of good culture back in order to, have a thriving art scene and hopefully boost the economy and the general morale of the city,
Right.
if you will.
And how old are your children?
5 and 2.
So they haven't been on stage yet.
They haven't, just some little preschool shows, but yeah, they haven't been on stage yet.
Were you brought up in a acting family?
My great-grandmother was an opera singer, so I grew up with that, and my great-uncle is a stage writer or screenwriter. His name was Edward Anhalt, and I have a few aunts and uncles that are still in Hollywood. So all the news coming out of Hollywood, I've known about this news for many years.
We won't go there.
Yeah.
Nancy, I don't remember how you first got involved with Stratton.
It's actually kind of a funny story, and I'll tell it willingly. Back in 2012, I wasn't in a very good place in my life and decided that it was time to look at my bucket list and look at my life and maybe find something that would lift me up. And I went online and I found an audition at Stratton, and I walked through the doors at 50 and went to my first audition. And Bob Blake, God rest his soul, I miss him so much, he looked at my audition sheet and he said, "What made you come out for your first audition at 50? And I burst into tears, and I told him my whole story, and he cast me. and I never left. I've been here ever since.
Yeah, we remember Bob. Yeah, he was wonderful.
He was.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
No. What was the role?
It was Almost Maine, which is a vignette show,
I
and
remember that one.
I was on stage for I think a total of 8 minutes, and it was the scariest 8 minutes of my life for 6 nights.
Do you still get nervous when you're on the stage?
Always. I'm nervous now.
Well, that's funny. You said to me before we went on that you were nervous, and I'm like, why? You're used to acting, and you said,
I'm terrified all the time.
but you said with acting you've rehearsed.
Yeah, it's rehearsed.
This is spontaneous.
And hopefully you know what you're going to say next when you're on stage. Although that's happened a few times. We've dropped a few lines, but yeah, it's
But it's the other actors who know if you miss a line.
Right.
The audience doesn't know.
Yep.
Do you want to tell my viewers how you got me on stage?
well, we did a show called the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, and I wasn't actually in that show. I was the spelling coordinator, so it was my job to recruit audience members to come up on stage.
And I couldn't say no to her. It's the only time I've ever. People think that because I do TV that maybe I'm interested in acting, and I would be petrified acting in a play, like you say you are in a TV
Right,
studio.
so same thing.
I was talking about the community events that you get involved in, and there's a toy drive coming up, Nancy.
Yes, it is. Oh, wait a minute.
You can refer to your notes.
Right.
I
Look-
said Barbara Walters uses notes. We can too. Anyway.
Everybody always gets us mixed up. It's called Local Veterans Helping Local Children, and we're asking that you bring a new unwrapped toy to one of the shows, and we will see that it gets into the hands of a local child.
Oh, so if you're just attending one of the plays,
Yep.
one performance of Best Christmas Pageant, bring a new unwrapped toy.
Yes.
And just donate it, and then you're taking care of getting it out
Yep.
to local people, which is really important.
Yes, we think so too. That's why we went with this organization. We wanted to keep the gifts local.
Now, because you're in Applewild's theater, you have much more capacity than we used to have at the Playhouse. So I would presume that tickets are available at the door.
Yes.
It's always better to go online and reserve them ahead of time.
Yes.
There are 400 seats. We'd love to sell out, but we've
Every
yet
night.
to, we've yet to reach over 300. So
Well, you
think
weren't
there'll be
around
plenty.
when the Playhouse,
wasn't,
the
no.
tiny little Playhouse, and it was always packed. There were, I forget how many seats there were.
I
in
was
there.
actually only here when we were in the church. I came the year after the theater burned down.
I don't know how many years. Well, I guess all the years I've lived in this area, I've been going to the plays.
Yep.
And I strongly recommend it, folks. That's a great Christmas present for somebody. Give them a season ticket to the Stratton Players.
And what is it, $40 for
$40
all three
for
shows?
all 3 shows. Yeah.
That's fabulous. Yeah, that would make a great Christmas present. So again, how large is that cast for the Best Christmas Pageant Ever?
I feel like it's 100 when I go and I see that. I don't know how John keeps
think there's
all
30
those
or
kids.
so.
It's about 30 plus. Yeah.
Josh, how do you compare acting versus directing?
Well, I've only directed a couple times and once only a full show. Acting is just getting the actors to do what your vision is without making them feel like
That's
they're
the
being
directing
told
part.
what to do.
Yeah, that's the directing part, right?
Acting is sometimes over dramatized on how amazing actors are, which I don't. I just
Well, I think it's the actors. I'll
Yeah,
give
right,
the
well, that's
inflated
true.
ego.
but
I'm not talking about local people.
yeah, well, some we treat actors as if they're royalty and they're geniuses, when really most of the time they're just looking in the camera at the right time, being directed well, and saying their lines the right way. So I just approach acting as learning my lines. And if I can get that, then and stay honest to the motivation of my lines, hopefully I'm received well.
Did you say you directed yourself? What you had the lead in last year's Christmas show?
Yeah, but that wasn't by choice. It was because we lost the lead actor in the show.
Oh,
so,
okay. But you were the director originally, and then
yes.
you had to step in
Correct.
because you probably knew all the lines by then anyway.
Well, it's a show I had starred in several times
Oh.
before, so it was pretty easy to pick it up.
But that must be difficult to be the director and the actor.
It was a difficult season, but it's over, and a new season has begun.
What would you consider an ideal role
Me?
that you've
For me?
Mhm.
Oh, I've always, I like Shakespeare. I like classic American pieces, Tennessee Williams.
We don't get to see much Shakespeare around
No,
here.
we don't.
That should be put on the docket.
Any David Mamet show, I'd be thrilled to be a part of. I don't really care for musicals very much, so straight dramas are typically what I like. Yeah.
And Stratton mixes it up, Nancy, over the years, the types of play that they offer, right?
We do mostly plays. We do straight shows. We do farces. We've done a couple of musicals, but we don't do a lot of musicals.
You have done some comedies that have just made me crazy. They were so much fun.
We have done some fun shows.
You've got a lot of good actors
Yeah,
to
we do.
those roles.
Yep.
Do you have another play that you would like to be in and that hasn't happened yet?
Well, over the years, I've learned that I saw a great picture on Facebook one day, and it was a picture of a glacier. And here's the water, and the glacier below says the rehearsal, and the glacier above says the show. And it's just so much of a commitment that lately I haven't really found the time to be able to do a show, which is why I'm producing this show, because I want to stay involved, but it's such a huge time commitment. My dream role is the Wicked Witch of the West,
Oh, really?
just so you know.
Just
She'd be
so
great.
In case we
you
can
know.
pencil that into one of our seasons.
Now, I asked Josh to compare directing and acting. What is the role of the producer?
Well, the role of the producer is ever evolving at
At Stratton.
At Stratton. It isn't anything that on a regular basis we had. The board kind of oversees a lot of the different productions, but it's kind of, I guess it's kind of a liaison between the board and the director, and I did a lot of the advertising. We had a fun craft day with the kids where we all made Christmas ornaments. We took their cast pictures and made Christmas ornaments out of them as a surprise so that we could put those up instead of doing the cast board. So that was a fun day for all of us. And just making sure that everything keeps flowing,
In Hollywood, I think the producer puts up all the money.
Yeah.
That's not your
They
case.
didn't get that from me, but,
I could be wrong, but do we know how many children are in it? You said there's
I think there's at least a dozen.
There was
to six.
17, and I think he added more. I think
Yeah,
he
so it
added
might
a
be
couple
over
to
20.
the choir at the end.
Wow, that's really going to be fun. Now, is this a play that has several acts with an intermission?
It's a one-act play.
It's a one-act play.
Yep.
Okay. I recently saw another one. I think it was Stratton that had a one-act play. Because I'm used to the intermissions and
It's probably It's a Wonderful
It's a
Life.
Wonderful Life was a one-act play as well, yeah.
okay, yeah.
They're 2-act plays that we turn into 1-act plays for attention span reasons.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you said you came from Orlando, and that's the philosophy of Disney.
How
They
many
say-
times have you fallen asleep in the theater in the middle of the second act? And it's not because the show's no good, it's just because that's the attention span of most people in the modern era.
Well, in the Disney World, everything is 20 minutes
That's
because
right,
that's their philosophy. You went over the details quickly, and in case somebody tuned in late, slowly give all the details about the upcoming play.
Sure. So the Best Christmas Pageant Ever opens this Friday. The show starts at 8 p.m. and tickets are on sale at the door for $15 or $7.50 if you're under 12. They can also be purchased online at www.strattonplayers.com.
So it's going to be this Friday and Saturday.
At 8.
At 8, Sunday at 2.
Correct.
And then the following weekend. That'll be the
date
first
times.
weekend in December.
Correct.
Okay, because people see this show at different times, and sometimes if we just say tomorrow or this week, they get a
So
little
for those
confused.
of you that are stuck in the house with your family from New Jersey or from wherever, and you just want to get out of the house or do something fun with the family as opposed to staring at the television, come on down and
And
see
it's
the
a
show.
beautiful theater. It's a beautiful state-of-the-art theater that we're thrilled to have Applewild have us on hopefully a temporary basis.
Yeah, but you're right. It is great that was worked out as a kind of a team.
Yep.
No, I'm thinking for a while you were going to different places, but no, that was one of the other theater groups.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy all the theater groups, and a lot of the actors play with or appear with more than one of the local theater groups.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is, you're all talented people. And Nancy, you don't have any children in the play, do you?
I don't.
Okay, I didn't. You don't have any children.
I don't have any
I didn't
children,
think.
yeah.
I didn't think
That's
you
why
did.
they're not in the play.
Yeah, right. See, you don't seem like you're nervous at all doing this TV
And yet-
show. It's easy. It's easy. That's what I'm telling the kids.
You make it easy. It's always delightful to talk to you.
Well, thank you. So, do we know what's the next play that will be coming up? You mentioned the season tickets. You can get all 3 plays for $40. Do we know what's coming up?
The Foreigner is the next play. I haven't had a chance to read it. I can't tell you much about it, but that's the next play.
I'm not familiar
The
with that.
Foreigner is a pretty famous comedy by a man named Larry Shue. It has to do with an Englishman that visits a southern lodge, and he has kind of social anxiety. So in order to avoid having to talk to people, he pretends as if he's a foreigner from another country and speaks this imaginary language. And so you can imagine all the kind of comical things that come through with that. Plus, there's lots of KKK members that show up on stage in hoods, so it's kind of, comical in that regards. Interestingly enough, we are looking for a director for that show because the director assigned to it has had some health problems and has had to step down. So if any talented theater directors are watching tonight, we'd love to hear from you at strattonplayers@hotmail.com. Or you can reach us out on Facebook if you're interested in directing.
So the cast has been selected?
No, that show hasn't even started. We'll
okay.
probably start auditions at the end of January.
It's a good idea to get the current
Cast
one
the
out,
show,
get the
correct,
current one
yeah.
behind you before you start casting for the next one. But you are looking for a director now.
Yeah, and we're also trying to do something different by planning our next 2 seasons ahead of time. We'd like to have them planned by February 1st of 2018. So I put a call out on a lot of websites, and if anybody's watching for any theater directors that would like to submit some plays to Stratton, I'm looking for your top 3 non-musicals that could be performed in this Applewild Center, which is this large 400-seat theater. So it calls for a certain type of show with a large cast.
So as chairman of the board, these are some of the things you're implementing.
These are some of the things that I'm trying to oversee, and
Yeah.
make sure they get done.
In our remaining minute and a half, is there anything you want people to know that I haven't given you a chance to say?
Yes, actually, there was a great article in the paper the other day in the Sentinel. Actually, Steve D'Ambrosio has done a great job in creating a tech team for sound and lights from Applewild students, and they're bringing in other friends and kids that are going on to other schools are coming back and staying with Stratton. So that's been a wonderful program, and we're really excited to have them working with us.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And as usual, I wish you success with the next, with the best Christmas pageant ever. And I will try my best to get there and see it.
We hope to see you
And
there.
keep up the good work.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Barbara.
much.